Your politeness is so grating. Did you know that? You're always just sorry. Always flinching about, like, a little fucking serf. I saw you sobbing at the funeral, and I remembered that you only knew him for 6 months. You hardly knew him. And yet, here you are, in the middle of it all. You're just a stranger. Stranger fucking danger. And you know what Daddy started to call you? Spider-Man. Because you're always just skulking about, weaving your spidery, Olivery web. But I don't think you're a spider, though. No. I think you're a moth. Quiet, harmless, drawn to shiny things, batting up against the window, desperate to get in. And you've done it now. You've made your holes in everything. You'll eat us all from the inside out. I mean, you ate him right up, and you licked the fucking plate.
Did Billy ever tell you how we met? I was a typist in the CIA, which is like a really special part of the government. And all the girls in the office were always saying how much they were in love with their boss. And I'd never seen him because where I worked was way down the other side of the building. But one day he walks in and I see him and I fell madly in love with him. But I mean, even the guys did, you know. They idolized him. And I never thought that he'd like someone like me, you know. I was just this typist girl, and he was like the king. But then one day I walk into the office, and there's this huge bouquet of roses on the desk. And I go over, and I open the card. And it said, "Dear Wendy, I have been in love with you for over a year, and I would love to take you out to dinner sometime." Guess who it was signed by? Billy. Signed by Billy. It said, "Love, Billy."
You think what? You think I'm some old queen trying to get into your pants or something like that? Well, that's not it. And I'm trying to figure a way to tell you that without it sounding like a load of crap. See, you got so many saps out there that aren't the real thing that when a guy like me with something legitimate to offer comes along, it's a pain in the hole for me to try and convince you of what I might have. So I want to tell you something right now, and I want you to listen close. I'm a good man. And you're a 17-year-old piece of gold. I've been doing this for 23 years. So I got a pretty good clue of what works and what doesn't. You're a pure piece of gold. I told you that before, but I'm telling you again because that's what you need. From age 0 to 17, all a kid needs is love. Let the world be hard after that. You'll discover all that's fucking miserable. But for now, for this moment, you need love. And I'm prepared to give you all the love and encouragement that you need because you're young. And I know how hard it can be.
Excuse me? What are you doing? Yeah, you. It looked like you were just putting that book away. I suppose you didn't know we have a system for putting books away here. You were just randomly putting that book on the shelf, is that right? Yeah, you know what? You've given us a great idea. A brilliant idea. You know what? Why are we bothering with the Dewey Decimal System when your system is so much easier? It's much, much easier. We'll just put the books anywhere we like. Do you hear that, everyone? We'll just put the books anywhere we like. It's brilliant, isn't it? It's bloody fucking brilliant. We're gonna pick the books up, put them on the shelf. Doesn't fucking matter where they go, does it? Isn't that bloody fucking right? It's brilliant. I bloody love it. Let's pick up the books and put them where we fucking like.
This wasn't an easy decision for me, Jerry. Believe me. For one thing, I knew it meant that we could never be friends again. And that hurt me. It's hard to lose a friend, even one who's let you down. You always hope you can patch things up. You know, a guy like me doesn't make friends that easily. Why didn't you just listen to the tape when I'd asked? Then I wouldn't have to be doing all this. Was it really too much to expect? A few minutes of your time to listen to something I'd worked on my entire life. So this is what happens when you're big, huh? You play with people? Is that part of the kicks, Jerry? I can see I was all wrong about you. All wrong.
I have a lot of trouble being honest with people. But people keep telling me it's important, so here we are. I don't feel anything. Most of the time when I wake up, the first thing that goes into my mind is, really? Again? We gotta do this again? And what I really can't understand is how come everyone else isn't screaming about boredom too? How come I have to try and find ways to make myself feel anything? I've hurt myself, and it doesn't hurt. I've bought things I think I'd want, and when I get them, I don't want them. I do things I think I like, and I don't like them. And I'm just so bored of it. Really.
At lunchtime, I bought a huge orange. The size of it made us all laugh. I peeled it and I shared it with Robert and Dave. They got quarters and I had a half. And that orange, it made me so happy. As ordinary things often do just lately. The shopping, a walk in the park. This, it's peace and contentment. It's new. The rest of the day was quite easy. I did all the jobs on my list, and I enjoyed them. And I had some time over. And I started to think of you and how much I love you. and I'll be okay.
I held the little guy in my arms for a minute. The crying was unbearable. I really did want to strangle it. It struck me that for the rest of my life, all I had was a baby boy for company. And so far, it hasn't been much of a mate. His tantrums started all over again. The noise was incredible. What an ugly idiot he was. So I stood him on top of the bridge railing. We had a little dance as the wind eased up a bit. I made a little prayer, scrunched my eyes, and I accidentally, on purpose, threw him off the rail. I faked a look of horror. Gary's jaw, my hair colour and cheekbones, washing down the dirty stream.
I fell in love with this Latvian, Inga. She was a foot model. Now, she had beautiful feet. It's what attracted me to her. So she moved in, and we were happy until her brother wrote from Latvia. He needed to get out because of the Russians. One day I found them in bed together, naked. I was puzzled, but Inga said, "You've never been to Latvia." Inga then, she started to let her feet go, and so the foot modeling work was drying up, and I was paying for everything, including Ivor's gym membership, which he never fucking once used. They then went on a holiday, and when they arrived home, they told me they got married. And I said, "Inga, how can a sister go to Cornwall and marry her own brother?" She took my hand and said, "Garth, my love, Ivor is not my brother."
If you saw the future that I've seen, what would you do? Convince the politicians, the captains of industry? Good luck. The only facts they won't dispute are the ones that keep the dollars rolling in. Now, to save civilization, I showed its collapse. How do you think people responded to the prospect of their imminent doom? They gobbled it up like a chocolate eclair. They didn't fear their demise. They repackaged it to be enjoyed as video games, TV shows, as books. Meanwhile, Earth was crumbling. Bees, butterflies, glaciers, simultaneous epidemics of obesity and starvation. Explain that one. All around you, the coal mine canaries are dropping. You still won't take the hint. In every moment, there's the possibility of a better future. But you people resign yourselves to it because that future doesn't ask anything of you today. So yes, I've seen the iceberg, and I warned the Titanic, but you just steered forward anyway. Why? Because you want to sink? You gave up.
We had some good news this week. Our neighbours, really well educated, attractive, and so sociable. They're getting divorced. I said to Tim, guess what? The Smugs are splitting up. He said, God, that's brilliant news. They'd invited us for dinner last year. Some big streak of piss who works high up in Asda said, oh, let's do our porn names. We went round the table. I'm Lady Minchkin. I'm Pumpkin McAllister. I'm Blackie Goff. Hilarious. Then she looked at me and said, what's yours? I said, Jaws. She said, Jaws what? It's your first pet followed by your mother's maiden name? I said, I know that. My goldfish was called Jaws, and I never knew who my mother was. So it'll just have to be Jaws blank. And then her husband says, ooh, who fancies some Eton mess? And then Tim, bless him, said, how did you guess my porn name? Then everyone started laughing again and talking about fucking house prices. So anyway, yeah. They're splitting up now. So happy ending.
I don't particularly enjoy hurting people. But sometimes people just won't listen. And so I have to use persuasion. My parents, Sharon and Dave, generous, doting, or were they? All I ever wanted was a ballerina Barbie. My birthday, I was 10. And do you know what they got me? Malibu Barbie. That is not what I wanted. That is not who I was. I was a ballerina. They simply had to go. And lastly, my late husband Fester and his adorable family. You took me in. You accepted me. But did any of you ever really love me? So I killed. So I destroyed one innocent life after another. Am I not human? Don't I deserve love? And jewelry?
When I have the map, I'll be free and the world will be different. Because I have understanding of digital watches. And soon I shall have understanding of video cassette recorders and car telephones. And when I have understanding of them, I shall have understanding of computers. And when I have understanding of computers, I shall be the supreme being. God isn't interested in technology. Look how he spends his time. 43 species of parrots, nipples for man, slugs. He created slugs. They can't hear, they can't speak, they can't operate machinery? Are we not in the hands of a lunatic? If I were creating a world, I wouldn't mess about with butterflies or daffodils. I would have started with lasers.
Once I realized that nobody was listening, then I learned to stop speaking. In fact, nobody was being listened to, and yet they still kept talking. So I just watched, and I observed, and they wouldn't shut up. It's all noise, you know? I couldn't relate. I don't mean the noise. I couldn't relate to them not knowing it was noise, you know? When you ostracize yourself like that, you just live in your head, don't you?
My mom was an addict, but she also helped me set up my first business when I was 8 years old. I washed people's cars. She taught me how to make good tips and how to pick out returning customers. She loved to sing, even though she sang terribly and could never get the lyrics right. It didn't stop her. And you know, even when she was high, she would never make us go hungry. She would make these little pancakes with chocolate smiley faces on them. They were really good. I think, you know, what I'm trying to say is that mothers can be really shitty parents, and you can still love them and want them to get better. And someone can be an addict and still be generous and kind. I really hate her for everything that she put me through. But I also miss her with every cell of my being.
Do you think there's a corner of this earth you could travel to, far away enough to free me from this torment? I am a gentleman. My father raised me to act with honor. But that honor is hanging on by a thread that grows more precarious with every moment I spend in your presence. You are the bane of my existence, and the object of all my desires. Night and day, I dream of you. Do you even know all the ways a gentleman can be seduced? The things I could teach you.
What is wrong with me? Please just tell me. Maybe I can get better. I don't want to end up like my mom. I want to be dancing with the pretty girls. I want what they have so badly. They're perfect. They're loved by as many people as possible. Sometimes I wake in the night and I wonder, what if this is it for me?
I'm exactly what Mom said I was. A failure. I need to clean this up. All of it. Just... all I really want is to be loved. I'm having such a hard time of it lately.
Took me a couple of weeks to bury the bodies in the city. Weeks more to effect repairs. Is it so bad to take my time and think for a moment? Have I changed? Go on. Say something. I killed you, old man. You must have an opinion on that, no? I've killed many people for many reasons, but killing you felt just. Felt like repairing the world a little. For a long time, I was content with being the knife that others wielded. But lately, I feel more like the hand than the knife. I like that feeling.
You think we have a connection? Okay. Let's see. What do I do for a living? Sorry. Maybe that one was too hard. What's my name? You're right. This connection's electric. Of course, I know all about you. Your mum. Your sister. Your job at the digital marketing agency. Which sounds like you completely suck at, by the way. Oh. And your novel. Good luck with that. Sounds like a winner. What's the matter, Neil? At least you didn't try to have sex with me while I was passed out. You do get points for that. I want you to be proud of yourself. Some guys, they don't care so much. But you woke me up before putting your fingers inside me. That was sweet.
Let me tell you something about trees. They speak to each other. They speak to each other through tunnels that extend from their roots, opened up in the earth by fungus. They send their messages cell by cell with a patience that could only be possessed by a living thing that cannot move. It would be like me telling you a story by saying one word each day. Right, at breakfast, I would say it, the word of the story, and I'd kiss you, I'd go to work, you'd go to school, and all you'd have of the story that day would be that one word. And I would give you no more till the next day, no matter how much you begged. You'll have to have the patience of a tree, I'd say. Now, can you imagine how that would be? Trees live, like you and me, long lives. And they know the only rule that's real and must be kept. I've told you many times before. Be kind.
It was the fault of the psychiatrist. I'd been seeing him because of my pyromania. The problem with pyromania is you have to stay at the scene.
to get, the most out of it. Obviously, you can get caught easier. So I got caught. Sent to a shrink. And he tells me that I've got an unresolved problem with my mother. I had to stand up to her and, just let her treating me like I was still a child. So one night, I rounded her cats up. I put them in a cage, doused them with gasoline, and I put a match to them. I opened up the cage door, let them loose. They were all just running around like moving bonfires. It was actually beautiful.
Long before the house was built, it existed. The ground they grew it on was all wrong. And far beneath the earth, corpses lay which were older than God. So by the time they raised the house, it was already there, in a way, fully formed, ready, ravenous. It had stood so for 100 years, but would only stand for one more before it entered into the long process of becoming something else, by the end of which it was hoped it would seem to all the world that it had always been that way. Within, floors crumbled, ceilings gaped open, vines choked the chimneys and the windows, and silence lay steadily against the wood and stone of the house. And whatever walked there marched on Rome.
Have you anything additional you'd like to say to the court before I offer your sentence?
I have been living in a state of enormous guilt and anxiety for the past year. Not because I felt like I was doing something wrong, but because I was always afraid of being found out. I can't specifically say that I regret my actions. I don't. I thoroughly enjoyed writing these letters. Living in the world of Dorothy Parker and Noel Coward. Pretending I was something I'm not. It's the only time recently I can remember being proud of the work I was doing. Then I lost my cat, maybe the only soul that truly loved me. And I lost my friend, who might have been an idiot, but tolerated me. And I've realized that I'm not a real writer.
I have that feeling, like when you quit a job, tell your boss to get fucked, walk out to your car and just drive away. It's a good feeling, man. Like, I have never been a person people can force into a thing. I mean, I'm peaceful, I'm loving, but I am not like the others. I'm not. I'll not fall in line when they're saying, this is normal. What we built here is normal, and your reaction to it is wrong. That's not normal. You serve in the military, I get it. I could never do that. Did you ever wake up in the middle of the night and play out the worst possible scenario, like you're driving your car and a kid comes out of nowhere on one of them scooters and you smack into that kid. And they die. Good part of your life is over. I can't change that. I'm sorry, I can't. No, I'm drunk. I have to go.
Many attempts have been made to depict 3 of my tales. I thought it would be simpler to relate them to myself. I've always loved the night, the darkness. I'm so happy to be talking to you in the dark, as if I were beside you. And maybe I am. You can imagine my anxiety, because these are old tales for your modern times. But we'll see. Here's the first story. One night, there was a ball at the Bellagio, Las Vegas. The lure of the orchestra exploding like a storm. Crowd flooded in like water bursting a dam. Regulars from all over Vegas, regardless of class, came for boisterous fun and debauchery. There were workers, pimps, and above all, girls. From rich old women chasing their youth, to poor young girls, desperate to have fun and entice big spenders in elegant suits. I prowled the excited crowd, searching and hunting. And that's where I met you.
Yeah, it's silly, but I always had this dream that I would have a really big family. You know, I'm talking a full brood of Harringtons, like 5, maybe 6 kids. Yeah, 6 little nuggets. You know, 3 girls, 3 boys. And I don't know, I figured that every summer, all us Harringtons, we would pack into an RV just like this and see the country. You know, the Rockies, the Grand Canyon, maybe Yellowstone. We would end up in some beachside town in California, park up in the sand for a week, like learn how to surf or something. I guess it just wasn't meant to be. The Lord had other plans for me.